Hey YouTubers, it's RC Mike with you. Here I've got the new REDCAT Gen 8. It's their first actual RC that they built and put together. So we're going to do a quick unbox and take a look at this thing. But the significant thing about this car is it is actually REDCAT's first RC car that they have produced themselves. Most of their stuff is rebranded from other manufacturers, but anyway, it'll be interesting to see what they came up with. It's a big box. We won't go over the box too much. Everybody's been doing unboxings, but anyway, they packaged it really nice. They got a kind of a unique bubble wrap system here that they've incorporated. Kind of a neat plastic, real nice to keep the body looking nice. The camera really doesn't do the orange justice. In any event, we'll get this thing out of here. Put a piece of plastic over the top just to kind of keep it clean and scratch free. Looks like it did a good job as far as that goes. Just looking at it for the first time. I've seen a few unboxings and a few other videos that guys did, and everybody wants to say it's super great. I'm very interested to see. REDCAT's not been exactly the cream of the crop when it comes to RC products, by no means. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how this thing does, but the body is really nice for their first car. You really can't complain. We've got a real hard mud flare on there, which is really nice. These trucks have a tendency to get beat up in the wheel wells, and to have this as a ready to run is really nice. Something that these guys use, which will be interesting to see how it works, is they've got the Velcro that holds the body down. The downside to that particular process is this Velcro can get dirty, muddy, dusty, get rocks in there, and it's hard to keep clean. So it'll be interesting to see how that holds up. They gave you a Dean's or T-style connector, which is nice. Every car should get away from the Tamiya style. Everybody just cuts those off, but this Dean connector is really a decent connector. They give you some Velcro straps, which is really nice. You can put a 2 or 3 cell battery in that spot, which is pretty good. The motor looks like a 550, yeah. So the motor sits way up front, kind of high, but it's at least in the front. Good weight distribution. The front is definitely heavier than the back. I don't suspect this truck, to be a comp crawler or anything, so changing that around or really moving the battery, I mean, I suppose they give you a little bit of an edge, but I think for the purpose of a trail truck, this layout is really nice. I wouldn't probably move a whole lot anyway, so I think they've done a real good job getting that battery as low as possible and getting that motor way up front. So in any event, the shocks feel real nice. They feel real smooth. They definitely have oil in them, and they're not leaking, which is nice. The articulation seems to be definitely as good as any of the other RTRs out there, but the suspension, I would have to say, feels a little better than some of them that I've seen or used. They do have some aluminum in their shocks, which is pretty nice. And the links are all aluminum, which is really nice. The axles look scale. They use a metal yoke with a plastic driveline. You know, people are gonna, you know, maybe bash on these drive lines for being plastic, but I tell you what, when you're on the trail, I'd much rather break this plastic drive line than anything in here or in that gearbox. These drive lines can be repaired very quickly, so you know, we'll test these, see how long they last. I suspect if it's driven appropriately, they'll probably be completely fine. This radio, it definitely doesn't look as bad as some of the RTRs, that's for sure. Anyway, the radio is actually okay. 4 batteries, and you're good to go, so that's kind of nice. I probably will change this out and put a Fly Sky radio in, which is what I normally do, and use this radio for something else. But it's a neat little radio for another car. But anyway, that's it for the unboxing and the radio. I'm not sure. I'll have to look and see where this spare tire goes, but people had talked about the foam in these tires. Back in the day when we started doing this years ago with the converted Tamiya trucks, memory foam was, everybody thought the hot ticket memory foam was fairly new and everybody was using it. This memory foam that's in here is just way too hard. If you want to run a stiff application, I guess it would work. The tire's at least not going to fold over when you're side hilling. However, the return on the foam is not too good. It should bounce back quickly, and that's why, you know, crawlers have gotten away from using memory foam. But that's what's in here, and it's actually, back in the day, it was an upgrade to regular foam, but as is today, probably not the best thing. You could run it, be totally fine, but there's going to be better foams out there to make the truck work better. And the tires would definitely work a lot better with a softer foam. The compound feels really nice, comparable to, you know, your other crawler tires from Proline and RC 4-wheel drive, and even close to a pit bull, you know, feel. They have a lot of compound release on them, so they feel a little slick, but I think they're going to work really well for an RTR tire. In all honesty, before trying it and before I stick my foot in my mouth, I would say these are going to work better than most RTR tires. So I think we'll be able to use these for a while. Anybody that buys the truck, wants to run it as is, I think it's going to be totally fine. So from the looks of it, just looking at things real quick, it definitely looks like they've spent some time, you know, looking at other vehicles and trying to get something that's going to be comparable or as capable as some of the other trucks. Few things that people are kind of whining about is this bulge at the bottom of the skid plate here. hopefully some aftermarket companies will try to figure out how to remove this. Any bulge in the bottom of this thing is really detrimental. You know, it might look like a scale feature, but in reality, go trying to get over the rocks and over the obstacles, this is not a good thing. They made it kind of smooth, you know, it's not probably not going to catch on everything, but that should have been flat. Another thing to note is the portal axles on here, and that is, you've got a couple of gears in here that drop the actual drive center of the wheel. So portal axles are starting to get kind of popular as far as giving you more ground clearance to the center differential, or the pumpkin, shall we say. It does lift the car too, so you kind of have to be careful there, but I'd say the biggest downside to the portals is the number of parts that's in there, and all the bearings and extra gears and all that. So definitely have to be mindful of making sure you don't neglect what's going on inside here. It's just more maintenance to deal with. So I'm glad to see they put them in there, and for the price point, it's definitely a pretty good feature. It's kind of hard to beat. As far as reliability and durability, we'll do some testing on this thing and see, but I think honestly, driving it appropriately and, you know, not rolling it down mountains, I think it's going to be totally fine, especially for what you're getting for the price point. I would say pretty hard to beat. So you get some scale features, but it definitely looks like a quality car for their first car that they came out with. So in any event, that's the unboxing and some of the features of this car, and we'll have to see in a few days to come how it's going to run. I think it'll do fine. It definitely feels like it's geared plenty low. Next video we'll try to get some running, and basically what I like to do to trucks once I get them out of the box is determine what's necessary to change to get it to run as good as you can, without going crazy and replacing everything, and the motor and the speed control and the tires and the rims and the links and the gears. And you pretty much, you know, if you're going to do all that, you might as well start with chassis rails and just build a car. So we're going to try not to do that, and try to explain what basically you need to go from box to the rocks without breaking the budget. And honestly, just looking at it, it looks pretty good. I would say the first thing I would change would be the foams, just to get a little more cush on that tire, and maybe a gear change, we'll see. But in any event, that is the new Gen 8 from REDCAT, and I'll tell you, this body is really really nice. I really like how that thing looks. It's a big body, but it's not, I don't think it's too big or excessively big, but it definitely does look nice. So it'll be fun to see how this thing does. So in any event, with that, that is the initial unboxing of REDCAT's new Gen 8 RC car. So with that, we'll see you next time, and we'll do some light modifications and see if we can get this thing on the rocks and see how it does. So we'll see you next time.